Welcome into another episode of the Division II Baseball Podcast. Before we get started with today's episode, we would like to shout out and let you know that the Division II Baseball Podcast is proudly brought to you by our good friends at Pro Baseball Radar. If you're looking to make smarter recruiting decisions in the transfer portal or on the JUCO circuit, Pro Baseball Radar is certainly your go-to resource for understanding player performance across all levels of college baseball. With their proprietary formula, they've placed stats from over 1,700 programs on the same scale. It helps coaches, athletes, families, and agents compare competition levels like never before. If you need to filter by home state, handedness, or other key factors, that's not a problem. If you want to see how players historically perform when moving up or down conferences, their one-of-a-kind transfer history database has got you covered. So save time, gain an edge, and make data-driven decisions with Pro Baseball Radar. Visit probaseballradar.com or follow them on X at Baseball Radar and schedule a demo today. Pro Baseball Radar, because the right move starts with the right data. Welcome into another edition of the Division II Baseball Podcast. I'm Will Connerly, joined as always alongside Robert Fry. And today we're going to talk with Mike Eversole, interim head coach at Lake Erie, and it was a big week for Lake Erie. We're going to get into that. What they did on opening weekend certainly turned some heads, but the story behind it as well with Coach, who has taken some time to join us today, also something to get into as well. So, Coach, first of all, appreciate you taking the time to join us. Tell us how this past week has been for you, the process to taking over the head coaching role, and then ultimately it all unraveling on the field with a big victory over a really good team.
Yeah, no, for starters, appreciate you guys having me on. Obviously, big fan of what you guys do for our level. I think it's just a good educator for parents, players, other coaches, other teams. So really appreciate what you guys have been able to do with the platform. But yeah, no, it's the last week's obviously been very interesting. Definitely a lot of adjusting to a new schedule, new routine. Obviously, how we run the team is not changing, but for myself, there's just, I made a joke with my guys, man, it's just more paperwork now. Just trying to grind through that. And, and they laugh a little bit and they've been great. They've been fantastic. But no, our prior head coach, had departed. He had taken a pro job, and with an MLB org. And, obviously we couldn't be more proud of him and just happy for him. Just being involved in the game and being very fortunate at just such a young age, having relationships with guys at, every level outside of the major league level, just having relationships with guys, the timeline is just not always the best. The pro timeline's not the most favorable for maybe guys at the college level. And so, I know in my shoes, I definitely understood. Our prior head coach just, he just had a son and started a family, and he's great at what he does. And I couldn't have been more thankful for just the opportunity he presented me with, just to come here as his assistant. We were set with, hey, we're going to build a program, and that's what we've been doing the last couple of years together. So to keep it very, very simple, very brief, he had just communicated, hey, I got offered the job last night. I accepted. This is what today looks like, and we're going to tell the team this afternoon. And obviously, again, very happy for him. But all I thought about was just the guys. All I thought about was the guys. Are they going to understand that? Sometimes this is our game. Are they going to be happy for him? Are they going to trust that I can come in and do the job and stuff? So a lot of emotion, I would say, for myself. Definitely a lot of emotion for Coach. And, it just stunk, man. We went through like kind of a weird window throughout the day where guys were like ready to go, and we're like, yeah, absolutely ready to go. And I mean, we were trying to get by. We just knew we had to get to that team meeting. I mean, it was just kind of wearing on both of us. And I'm thankful that coach wanted to do it in person. He did it the right way. He did it the right way. He called the team in the room and just shared everything with them and told them what the game plan was. And then, I got a little bit of time to talk with the guys. I knew the bigger, impactful conversation was yet to come. I just knew the best thing for me up front was to just comfort them, let them know that I got their back. I'm here for them. Our other coaches on staff are here for them. We got tremendous upperclassmen. I could not be just more appreciative of them. And I think that they just knew that I was going to be leaning on them a little bit to kind of be like a good resource, to each other and how we can kind of benefit just the team and stay the course with what our mission was. So spent that entire night, up, did not sleep at all. It wasn't because I was filled with anxiety by any means. I really wasn't. I was very excited, just getting the opportunity. But it was just more like, do we have everything charged that we need? Do we have all of our charts? Do I have lineup cards, bat stickers? Coach helped me, kind of organize those things before he headed out and stuff. But I got home and I just talked with my wife, and she asked me like, well, where's your head at? And I said, I'm good. Like I'm good. I'm probably not coming to bed tonight. We leave at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I got home relatively late that night, and I just really wanted to just make sure we had everything. I wanted no lapses getting on the bus. I wanted things organized. I wanted just everything done the right way, everything done correctly, maybe too OCD, but then we got on the bus, and it was a combination of, we got on the bus a little early. It was a combination of, I think it was still kind of wearing on some guys. And then I think, just the phone just hasn't stopped. It hasn't. It was, you guys ready? Like, what's your game plan? How you feel? I mean, again, very fortunate to have people who care that much about our team and care that much about my well-being and my other coaches' well-beings and stuff. Our administration couldn't have been just more supportive. I mean, they were just incredible, like just so available and very just comforting. And just letting me know over and over and over again that like there was support here and we were going to kind of get through this together. And so I waited until we got to the hotel down in Cary and told our staff. I said, I'm going to call a meeting tonight. Like, let's take them to dinner. Let's get them fed. And then I want to have a meeting with them. And they're like, what do you need from us? And I was like, I just need you guys to honestly, like, I just need you guys to be quiet. I need you guys just to be quiet. I get one shot to pour everything that, I was feeling in my heart and what was going through my mind. I got one shot to do that and just show so much humility and just be super upfront. And I won't go too deep into our conversation as a team, but I mean, long story short, man, I think they went to bed that night knowing that they were going to be playing for a guy that was going to go through absolute anything for them, absolute anything with them. And I just told them, we came down here to do a job. The job's to go home, winning baseball games and preparing for the next and just controlling what we can, right? Like I just, the biggest thing is just outside distractions. Social media, like don't care what guys say, don't care what other teams in our conference are doing, don't really care who we got on the schedule next and what they got going on. I mean, it's just to a certain degree. It's just we're going to focus on the guys in our room. We're going to focus on the four walls that we live within, and just letting them know that and reminding them of those things. We just played with a lot of freedom and a lot of certainty. For opening weekend against a great ball club. I mean, Coach O'Neill down there, I mean, he's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Really appreciate the time I got to talk with him, before the games and stuff like that. I mean, just such an amazing coach, amazing person. But no, I mean, we went down there and I thought we just played well. And obviously we have things that we have to clean up. No question about that. But I just thought we played really good team baseball, and I felt like everybody was just prepared to do their job. And that's all I asked of them. And then just, once you get the first one off your back, I mean, just again, the love, the support, receiving texts and calls from other coaches here on campus. My athletic director has by far probably been, my biggest cheerleader so far. I mean, she's just been, again, so helpful, so available. And I just, now we have this week off. We've been practicing, cleaning up some things, trying to identify how we move forward. But I know I'm extremely excited. So, that's kind of been the story. That's kind of where we've been at right now.
Yeah. And coach, speaking of that story, you go into a place like Cary, North Carolina, and you are able to experience playing there. So I want to ask you, before we get to that series win, what was it like playing in Cary, North Carolina, the home of the D2 World Series?
Yeah, no, I mean it was a great experience. I mean, it's a great facility. I don't know. Again, like I'll never forget that weekend. I'll remember how the weather was. I'll remember, what the food tastes like. I'll remember maybe, just too deep of specifics of plays that maybe occurred in the game. I mean, I don't know. It was just it just hit a little different. Um, so I think I just tried to be present and be in the moment as much as possible. It was a great facility. Our guys really enjoyed getting to play there. Obviously didn't get to play on the main field for obvious reasons, but I mean, just great complex, good area, kind of tucked away a little bit, in a little neighborhood almost. So, I thought that was really cool, and it just kind of shows that baseball really matters in that community. And I think for our guys, I think it just showed them, um, man, you just never know where the game can take you. And we're just going to be present. You guys got to soak this opportunity in and enjoy it. And I think they definitely made the most of it.
When we get into the series in general and opening weekend, UNC Pembroke heading into the season, I love what you said about, hey, we don't care what other people say. Love that message and appreciate you sharing that. However, for UNC Pembroke, known as a very strong Division II program, nationally ranked coming in, and for your team's just performance overall in the field, it was certainly very impressive. What's your biggest takeaway from at least what you learned about this team? I know there was a lot of moving parts, and that timeline you shared was fantastic about what happened with you in a position so quickly. But just on the field, you go beat a ranked team on the road. What are some of your takeaways, and what can you use from those takeaways the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think for starters, I think it just shows our group is just resilient. I mean, very resilient. I'm fortunate I get to coach a team where I've, you know, been able to recruit 90+% of this roster, right? So, originally, guys were buying into a vision that I was, sharing with them, and then obviously it was in unison with what our last head coach, had set forth as well. They bought into our vision, so I think it just kind of showed that, hey, what we just went through. It stings for sure, but we're still going to find a way to be resilient here. I think that's probably the biggest thing. It helps. We're definitely experienced now. I would say on the offensive side of things, we got one senior on our pitching staff this year. So I think it just gives just sends the right message to the younger guys that hey, like it just takes the right group of people. And it takes the right group of people who just want to buy into a style of play and just focus on how we can execute within that style of play every single day. And our preparation was mostly about what we need to do to win and a little bit about maybe what we were going to have to face with. So I just think the group is focusing on the right things. I think they're super invested in each other. I think they're very bought into myself and the rest of our coaching staff. And I think they just know that they have an opportunity to do something really good this year. I feel like that's what I learned about the team, and I also feel like too, this is the first time again, offensively, I'm seeing actual experience, and just seeing how the at bats are going throughout the weekend. You just see how maybe plays that we didn't make a year ago, we made some of those plays, regardless of how routine they were. Our outfield just were absolute vacuums out in the outfield. We made some good throws. I mean, it was our first time outside. And from BP to IO to in game, I'm like, man, we're making some good throws. Our infield kind of struggled a little bit, which, I kind of expected that. But, my message to them coming in was just like, hey, got the first one out of the way, man. Hey, only up from here. Just my job was just to try to show that regardless of outcome, I was going to be, as calm and as focused. And I was going to, just put our focus into the next pitch, the next play, and not dwell so much on maybe what just happened, regardless of good or bad. So I think these guys are just going to live for the next pitch, and I think experience helps with that. But I think it's just a huge reflection of our culture. They're absolutely resilient. They want this. They want it for each other. And, this weekend, I mean, I knew they definitely wanted it for me. And they made that pretty vocalized to myself. And I just couldn't have been more grateful in how they just took care of things on and off the field this weekend. It was great.
And, you talk a little bit about that resiliency with your team, especially, coming off that opening game loss, you turn around and you have a little bit of resiliency in that 2-1 win. And in particular, you have two guys that stand out, Alex Caudell, who threw 5 shutout innings, and Israel Espinosa, who had both of the team's RBIs in that game. Talk a little bit about, maybe a message that you told the team after that first game, and then how those guys kind of took it, and then how they performed in that second game.
Yeah, I mean, after the first game, and we decided this as a coaching staff back in the fall. But after game one of every doubleheader, we would spend so much time talking about what happened, what went wrong, what we got to do. And honestly, I just think it just instilled, guys who were just dwelling on stuff. Maybe if a guy played bad, he's now pressing that he's got to play really, really good now. So as a coaching staff, we agreed with the team back in the fall that, after game one of the doubleheader, it's done. Get some food, hydrate, get yourselves locked in. We'll obviously handle, anything scouting related. We'll get the lineups out. We needed time as a coaching staff to honestly have a conversation on what our game plan is going forward. If we need to plug and play, maybe a different option in a key spot. But right before the next game started, I just said, hey, first one's out of the way, fellas. All right. Stay in the moment, slow the game down. All right. You're on the road. Our job's simple. We got to score first. We got to get base runners on. We got to score first. We got Alex on the mound. All right. This is ours. We knocked the cobwebs out. That was kind of the joke in the dugout. We're just knocking cobwebs out, coach. I mean, game one was what it was. When you walk some guys and you kick the baseball around and you don't drive runners in, that result's going to happen against a team like them. And we knew that. It was just to a point where there really wasn't much to talk about with game one. I think everybody was pretty aware of, what happened and why it happened that way. But that was kind of just my brief message going into game two. And then, we got things going early, against their best guy coming back. I mean, that Jonathan Jacobs, it's one heck of a pitcher, man. He's a real good pitcher, good breaking ball. And then, we turned the ball over to Alex, who has just, always just been available. Does everything you ask of him. Absolute workhorse. Great kid, great pitcher, great family. Was just raised the right way. We're fortunate to have a guy like him. But he just went out there, man, and just did what we expected him to do. And that's just pound the zone and get guys out and kind of catch them off guard a little bit. When Pembroke played us 2 years ago, man, I'm not sure if they just knew, maybe some of the pieces that we had reloaded with ever since. And, Alex is one of those guys. So can't say enough about Alex and his demeanor, his leadership, how he prepares. It's just nothing. It's just awesome. It's awesome. And then Israel Espinosa, we're talking about a guy who's been, a starter every year that he's been here. He's an international student. We talk about our whys in our program, and it gives guys an opportunity to just learn more about the guy that they're, going to battle with every day. And I'll just keep it simple. Izzy's why my first year here, it was just super powerful. And you see how he operates every single day. You see, there's so much that guys don't know about that he battles, constantly. He earns everything that he gets. He works really hard. He's super experienced. Just great clubhouse type guy, good player. But just I plugged and played him into the game. We had made a catching change for game two, got Izzy back on the field. And during game one, that was the first time, I believe, since he's been here where he did not start on opening day in game one, and didn't complain, was talking with hitters, was talking with me, maybe stuff he was seeing in the game. Just super locked in. And I just knew when he was going to get his shot in game 2, I just knew he was going to come up for us. And he did exactly what a senior should do. And that's get balls in play and score runs. He knows his role offensively, and that's just be a good old-fashioned ball player. His game's got to be built around execution, and he's bought into that tremendously, and it just shows with, how he performed in those timely moments when we really needed him.
Well, Coach, in light of not talking too much about the past, like you talk about game 1, you move on from the doubleheader, I kind of want to look ahead because I know you have a hiatus. However, while you get that opening weekend and those first couple wins as interim head coach off your back, you look ahead in the class of the Midwest region the last couple of years. You pay another visit to what'll be a nationally ranked team in that matchup. I know you've had some midweeks with them the last couple of years, but to get a weekend series there presents a huge opportunity. What are your early thoughts? I know still got another week for it, going into what presents another huge opportunity for your program, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think UIndy is a good ball team. I think they're well coached. I think they got good players, and man, I think they do a great job. Again, fortunate to have relationships with those guys personally. Obviously, met through coaching. That's where my prior head coach had come from before taking over this program was UIndy. So very familiar with those guys, and we respect them. I believe they respect us. We split with them last year when they were number 5 in the country. So, again, it's just going to be another weekend for us. If we just show up and execute our game plan and just play hard and just play the right way, I feel pretty certain that we have good opportunities to obviously come up with the outcomes that maybe we're looking for. But again, like, it just excites us. There's no fear here. We'll play anybody. They're going to be well coached. They're well experienced. I know Easton Good's one heck of a ball player for those guys, man. I believe he's a senior this year. And I know that they reloaded with some transfers and stuff like that. I'm just excited for the opportunity to go play another good baseball team and learn more about our group along the way. So that's how I feel about going into next week. We're going to control what we can until we get on the bus, and then when it's game time, we're going to roll out with our game plan, and we're going to see if we can execute it. And if we do, we'll probably be feeling pretty good about it. And if we don't, we got to make adjustments and just move on to the next game. I think, again, we just got to play for the next pitch regardless of outcome.
And Coach, final question I have for you regarding, what's happening here and coming up. How do you keep your players prepared and locked in, especially after, a gap period, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, like, we identified at the beginning of the week, when we came back is when we talked more about, like, the in-depth stuff. Okay, hey, like, this is definitely what we struggled with. This is what was good. This is what was bad. This is how we're going to attack it in practice. This is what we need to focus on. This is kind of like the introduction for the next ball club that we're about to go play. And again, like, we just kind of discussed it there. And then with practice, again, like, we're just trying to keep them sharp, bullpens, going through defense, getting back on the barrel, just trying to work through some kinks, again, just kind of going back and attending to our needs and then starting to plug in, what we know that we're going to have to face. But, pitching staff wise, I mean, we just got to continue to pitch into our strengths. Really, we have experienced catchers, and even though that we have a very young pitching staff, we have a lot of guys who have played early on in their career, freshmen that came back and that are now sophomores. We have some juniors with experience now. We have some young guys that I think are really going to help us out down the stretch throughout the course of the season. So I think the focus, was there by the time we came back in the door. I think they just knew that, hey, like, we're going to talk briefly about this weekend one last time. We'll take probably a 10-minute window to talk about it. And then we're going to talk about what our game plan is going forward. And, I think that's just all we really focused on.
Well, Coach, appreciate you taking so much time with us. We know it's been a crazy week, and it was so much fun to learn about a little bit about that story behind the scenes of what you went through and brought this team to, at least to start the season. So congratulations on such a fantastic start to the year, and we're really looking forward to your matchup against the Greyhounds, a team that's gone to the last couple College World Series. So that should be a lot of fun, Coach. Any final thoughts you have for the fans out there?
Oh man, just excited for a season of baseball. Excited to just continue this journey and do it with my guys, man. They're awesome. Man, grateful, absolutely grateful for the kids we have in this program. Just excited to go out there and just continue to play our style of baseball, man, and just live with the outcome. Just focusing on ourselves.
And that is Mike Eversole, interim head coach at Erie University.